3, 2, 1. We're good.
What's going on, everyone? It's Adam and Craig with Grandstand Golf. This is our live DFS show for the 2021 Memorial Tournament. Craig, it just has this little feeling of kind of like like I said all week, like a major light, like a U.S. Open light. It just feels like it's gonna. Oh, my computer's gonna turn on. Muted it. We're good there. What do you think? First thoughts
It's
of the
elevated
Memorial.
status. If the
Totally.
status is elevated. It's strong field. Yeah, I think there's a lot of things to like about this week. It's going to be interesting to see the renovations to the course. I'm just interested
It's just like
in the money that I'm going to win at this point.
Yeah, it's gonna be nice for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah, it's a beautiful course that I mean, it's interesting when you've seen it before, but when it's different than new, it's a whole different chapter to it, right?
Nice to see everyone. Steve, Ray, Rob. Question, Idaria, before we started here, can you guys go over ownership at all? Curious to know how that is determined, considering picks are confidential to lock. So essentially, we don't do ownership projections ourselves. I had looked into it, and
Craig's a tech guy,
I
by the
was
way.
not
He built the
I was
model.
not confident in the accuracy that I was able to come up with. I know that some sites that have optimizers built in will use that to inform their ownership projections and that kind of thing. But ultimately, it's to me it's similar to projections. Like player result projections. Like it's just a projection until we actually see what happens. So I more just skew towards, I feel like this guy's going to be higher than this week. I feel like it's going to be a little bit lower. I don't actually care about numbers.
I mean, if you're following golf Twitter or a lot of that kind of DFS content, you generally have a good idea who's going to get kind of bumped up, who's going to have less ownership, and that's enough for me to make unique lineups.
Yeah, and just
right
also like guys who are trending and are still have like their form is good and they have still a low price, then they're going to have a high ownership. Guys who are highly owned in previous weeks and don't raise price. You want to get to it? Should we stop talking about it?
No, I was gonna say if you're new, I had to figure out which way to point. It always confuses me. If you're new to the live show, thank you for joining us. We're going to go through the entire field using our DFS model. It's right there where I'm kind of pointing generally. That is the model Craig built. The link is below. It's on our website. Craig, kind of a quick rundown. We have, actually, I'll let you do it. Why don't you do it?
So, I mean, essentially what we're looking at. So we're looking at strokes gained numbers for each player, and essentially for the previous season, for this season, and then a modeled strokes gain that's based off previous years of the Memorial Tournament, and then say that person's
Sorry, not at the Memorial.
not previous. So we look at a previous running of the tournament, all the players going in, what their stats were going in, how they ended up doing, and then we use that to essentially build a model. And then we use the people's stats coming into this year, and then that gives us a projected strokes gain. Yeah. It's more long term. It doesn't take into account so much recent form. It's more long term what they've done. So that's it. And then this is just cost adjusted value. So that then takes into account the actual price. And then we've got long term or season to season stats, and then recent stats down at the bottom, tournament history. And I think most people have been here before, so let's jump into it.
10K and above. Who do we got? Who do we got here? You go.
Well, no, sorry. I just Stephen Davison saying YouTube's not working for him. It's working fine over there on your end, Adam?
Good on my end right
here. Let us know if it's still not working. I don't know if that's anything that we can do. That might be on your end there, Steve. Okay, we've got Spieth, Rahm, Bryson, Rory, Colin Morikawa, and Justin Thomas.
Who are you playing, if any? No, I'm just kidding. I know you're playing some.
I have zero. No, I'm just kidding. I faded the top 4. I have.
Okay, I got to move my windows
zero
around.
Spieth, zero Rahm, Bryson, and Rory.
So those guys, that's kind of interesting because looking at ownership projections. I think a lot of people are going to kind of do that. Start at Morikawa if they're doing one build or multiple builds. That seems to be where a lot of people are starting.
Yeah, I mean, that might be what a lot of people are doing. I still think those, some of those names they're going to attract a certain amount of ownership.
Oh yeah.
I really like a lot of the 9K. I really like a lot of the 8K. I'm curious to see what happens with a few of these guys, or especially Kyle Stanley, but a few of these cheaply priced guys. If that does increase a little bit, people are talking Spieth. Spieth has crazy form coming in. Bryson always has hype. Like a lot of those guys always have a certain amount of ownership.
I got Rahm, Bryson, one lineup of Rory, just one. Rory was one of the withdrawals from the Pro-Am today, so that's scared me a little bit. And some Colin Morikawa.
So
I just feel
you
like
got off
Rahm and
JT.
Bryson. Got off JT. I feel like Rahm and Bryson are probably the two best fits for either the course, U.S. Open type setup, hard, fast greens.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Maybe just the
different than a
two
U.S.
best
Open
golfers right now.
type setup because it doesn't have. I mean, it's not necessarily favoring distance as much.
But why? It's 7,500 yards.
Just
Or
because,
that
I mean, you get, I think we've got long par threes. So I don't think it's going to. Last year was a bit of an aberration in terms of how hard it played. I don't think it's going to play that
yes.
hard again.
Yeah, we got rain.
Um,
But Patrick Reed did say today that the rough is the kind of the craziest he's ever seen. He hit it 1 yard offline, and it took him 5 minutes to find the ball. So that, like, to me, when you have that kind of scenario, and you have someone, let's say two people miss the rough, I'd rather have a 9 iron in than a 7 iron in, right? Hacking out of the rough.
Yes, well, absolutely.
I'm leaning more calm. Yeah.
I just, based on everything I read and based on I think Data Golf puts out one of the best course fit models out there, and to them, driving accuracy is much more important than driving distance. Almost any U.S. Open setup, driving distance will be important. And obviously, it varies a whole lot there because they go to different places every year. But I mean, Rahm won this last year at 9 under. The previous 7 years were at least 12 under. I think while it might be difficult, they're not trying to defend par at this course.
No. I think it'd be probably closer to 11-12 this year. I mean, that's kind of what I would think. That's kind of the chatter out there.
Yeah.
There's some rain overnight.
Yeah.
Tonight.
Anyways, so you just like Rahm and Bryson at hard courses, essentially.
Well, I mean, I only have 10 and 15% of them. I just think like I'm not going to be shocked if these guys win and they're under owned in the field at kind of that 10-15% mark.
Yeah.
But I'm not on Kyle Stanley, and I prefer, like, there's a lot of guys I like down there like Xander and Finau, who I also feel like are good fits for that kind of setup.
Yeah, I mean, we are talking the second and third most expensive players in the field, and former winners at this course. So it's not a crazy stance to take. I just, to me, I like Morikawa. I think he's going to win at this course at some point. I also just think his tee to green game is so solid right now. He's playing the best golf of anyone tee to green. So he is my most expensive play, and then I'm on JT, which you are not. I just think JT priced in 6th at a course that, it should fit him fairly well. Should have won the Workday Charity Open, did not, lost to Colin Morikawa. So that's where I've gone with my above 10K ownership, and then I have tons of ownership in 9K.
Gary says you haven't mentioned Matt Jones. Seems like a good fit this week. I mean, we're still at Morikawa. If Matt Jones is priced up here, we'll talk about him.
I don't think he's on my roster if he's priced up here.
Yeah. Morikawa. So Morikawa is my highest owned guy. Oh, Craig's trying to push us away, I think.
No, I'm trying to. My white balance is all off because it's so sunny outside.
I think it might be wearing gray for me is a bad choice, and I just whited myself out. I'm 50 Shades of Gray over here. You have all the color. You sucked all the color out. Up to you. But anyways, I was going to say Morikawa is my highest owned guy here. JT, there's just too many question marks still for me. But like I said last week, he could win this. I'm not going to be surprised if JT wins this.
I mean, JT can win anytime he shows up. Ray, how much on Morikawa? I have 30%, and he is my highest owned guy at 30%.
I have 20%. He's my highest owned guy above 10K, but I got...
Yeah. And then JT, I have a 23. So into the 9Ks here.
Yeah, Craig went all weird and built more lineups than 20. It's throwing me all off. He doesn't have these round
I've got
numbers.
30 this time, 30 lineups, so my percentages have changed a bit. Sometimes you just get extra and you wanna build more combos than you've got. Yeah,
So high nines, we got Hovland, Xander, Cantlay. Mm, those three? Or do you
no,
want to
just
do
do
all
all of
nines
them.
here? Hideki, Corey Connors, Tony Finau, Patrick Reed, Scotty Scheffler. How many 9K plays you got this week?
6. So I only have two.
Me
I only have
too.
two fades.
Who are your fades?
Patrick Cantlay
Okay.
and Scotty Scheffler.
Yeah, Scotty Scheffler is a hard one to fade, but he's my fade too. He's cheap and he's being completely slept on. But I faded him too, and I also faded Corey Connors.
Yeah, I see that. And I get that because Corey Connors has started to fall off with his short game a bit in the last 4 tournaments, actually. But to me, the frickin' ball striking is just still so consistent. We've
Yeah.
got 4 tournaments in a row. He's, somewhat well over a full stroke gained on approach and gaining off the tee. So I'm kind of just taking the mentality that if he continues to do that, and if the short game pops, but I
Yeah.
don't think that's a bad play. I think fading Corey Connors this week.
It's just like it's who it's above. It's who he's above. That it didn't feel right rostering him.
Finau and Reed, or
Reed and Scheffler, really those three.
yeah, I can see him above Scheffler. I have no problem with that. So I've got everyone in this range. I have 27 to 23%. So we're talking 7 or 8 out of 30 lineups. The highest being on Victor and Xander.
Yeah, so I mentioned in our Discord, I got 3 plays at 40% this week. 2 of them in this range. They are my picks from our picks. So Xander Schauffele, 40%, Tony Finau, 40%. I got Victor Hovland. Man, I can't stop playing Victor Hovland at 30%.
Can't quit.
And then these guys are the guys 10, 15-ish percent around there. But yeah, big Xander week for me. We're both on him for one and done, and then big Finau week as well.
So Big R, I like the Cantlay play. I just essentially you kind of have to. So I think he's going to be popular, but I think honestly, most of these guys in this range, I think Finau's going to be popular. I think Xander and Hovland are going to be popular. Essentially, I didn't want to play all of these guys at a very popular, I just had to concentrate it a bit onto a few of the guys. And Cantlay, for some reason, I feel like I have been hearing a lot of buzz about Cantlay. I think probably just because of the course history. And so I felt that, if I think that his ownership will potentially be higher or as high as these guys, that, maybe straight up, if they were the same price, I'd like Xander more than Cantlay right now. So I guess that would be my rationale there.
It is quickly like how recent bias both DFS and the pricing is. Like Cantlay was unplayable at PGA Championship.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about him there. Is like one of my favorite pivots, and then he has a good showing, and now he's priced up kind of appropriately with his long-term skill set probably, and he's going to be kind of probably pretty popular as well.
Yeah, so the big thing for me, I think he has a great shot to be a good play this week. I don't know about optimal. Optimal is always tough, but
Yeah.
So a combination of the stats from last week, like his ball striking was great, but the poor short game and poor putting, and then just a little bit of the eye test, and mostly just Sunday was what I saw of him, but just when you hit a putt, it did not look like you ever had any faith in it. So I'm a huge Patrick Cantlay fan. I really like the guy, so I'm going to be back on him soon, just not this week.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair, and I'm the same, but I have a little bit 15%.
You can't quit. You can never quit Cantlay.
No, I was playing him at the PGA. I loved it. I loved that. The one thing I do want to say here is one of my favorite things in this area is grab, one of your favorite plays, low sevens, couple guys, low sevens, mid sevens, and then load up in this area. I did a couple of rosters like that, and I loved it.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like Cantlay has some mixed opinions. Some people think it's time to jump on. Some people are holding off still. It'll be interesting to see. A few of these guys I think ownership will be very interesting on.
Yeah, I think so too.
Okay, into the eights. I think we can rattle this one off all at once too. We've got.
I was telling you right before the show, this was a really, really hard one. We might have to go quickly kind of through everyone. We've got Burns, Neiman, Fitzpatrick, Smith, Louis, Shane Lowry, Hoffman, M, Horschel, Ricky, and
Yeah,
Keegan.
you were saying you were having a hard time finding guys to play here. I was having a hard time not putting all of my ownership in this range.
So, I mean, Sam Burns, too risky for me. I like the play actually in terms of DFS because he was playing really good before his withdrawal. But I really like Neiman. I got some Neiman in there. Fitzpatrick, a little bit too short gamey for me, but I did get there. Cam Smith is the one that I struggle. Cam Smith, Shane Lowry, I really struggled on. Ultimately, I thought maybe a break with Cam Smith might bring his putter down to earth a little bit. And Shane Lowry just seemed to be getting a lot of chatter and was probably higher priced than I think he should. He's playing good, but his price has come up a little bit. When there's guys in the low eights, high sevens, I think are comparable to him.
Yeah, so
what are your 2 cents on the kind of the top eights there?
So I faded Burns. I like Burns. It's just the price. I don't think he should be 89. I understand how good the recent success has been, but we have seen. I'm not going to pay that until I see Burns doing that type of thing much more regularly, much more consistency from him.
Yeah.
So I love all these plays. Neiman, I worry a little bit. His short game has been bad the last few weeks, but other than that, I think he's got so much upside in his game because he can do everything well most of the time. The short game being the one usually that can be his biggest holdback.
I got 25% Neiman. I love him this week.
I
really like
love
him.
Fitz. Love Cam Smith. I know that you're not on. I still think that you have a bit of a ball striker bias where you don't like to jump on these guys that have really good short games and just when they have their ball striking weeks they win. You love to play the guys who are ball strikers, and when they have their short game weeks they win.
A little bit, but Cam Smith has been like Fitzpatrick. Cam Smith has been like outrageous. Like it's been kind of unconscious. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree.
I don't think it's sustainable. Matt Fitzpatrick, I do think it is a little bit more sustainable.
I hear you. I agree, but I think the Cam Smith thing might be a little bit of one of these situations where the stats aren't telling the whole story, if that makes sense.
Yeah, of course.
Because
numbers lie.
Numbers lie. We don't get numbers from the strokes gained numbers from the Masters. So some of his like when we look at his breakdown of strokes gained, and he's gaining so much with his short game and his off the tee and approach. Well, chances are both those times he top 10'd at the Masters, he probably had pretty good ball striking weeks, but we don't get those into the season long stats. So I do think that. I do think you have to be careful not to read too much into basic PGA Tour strokes gained stats.
I think that's fair.
Matt Fitzpatrick, I think he's playing better golf. Maybe because the last couple of results haven't been great, but he's playing better golf than people give him credit for. He just doesn't have a ton of starts. I think would be the biggest thing.
Yeah.
And Louis Oosthuizen, you breeze right by him on your way to Lowry, but he is. I can't quit Louis.
I like Louis this week. I only got a little bit at 10%. I feel like it. Again, another guy that should come back down to earth a little bit.
Just real quick, Brandon Thompson. We have not spoken about weather advantage. We will get to that. I haven't looked into it.
Let's talk about it right now.
Okay, I haven't looked into it a whole lot since the other day. I was not going to make any plays based on weather.
I wasn't as well this morning. I did see a little bit. Dublin, Ohio. I forget the exact weather station. It did look like there might be an advantage for PM, AM. So PM on Thursday, AM on Friday. So it did make 2 lineups that way. But I'm not reading into it. It's just, it's even when it's gusting at like 17 miles per hour. It doesn't seem that bad at all.
What's the station you're using?
There are rain.
No, I'm not going to pull it up on screen here. The thing
But
with rain and trying to guess, like, I mentioned this in the previous show, but I really have a hard time when there's potential delays and
yeah,
then trying
which
to
this could be.
guess wave advantages. So I've got the plays I like. If there's if I get killed by wave advantage, it'll hurt. But the other
I'd be surprised if it's over a half
the
stroke
other
either
thing
way.
that you can do is if you have plays you like on either side, just stack them on one side. Like, so put a bunch of your guys that you know are all in the same wave that work out into a lineup anyways.
Well, and sorry, that's what I should say. Like that's what I do when I'm making. I'm hand building 20 lineups. That's kind of I've talked about the process I do before. When I get to kind of later in the build, I've already had my player pool cut down to the 25, 30 players I like, and then I look. Oh, maybe I want to stack like this early Friday morning because it seems to be the most advantageous. So let me put in Xander and Finau and Neiman and build a lineup
Hmm.
of guys I already like.
And like you look to see like is there a good basketball game on late the night before because the guys early
Yeah,
that morning or no, I don't think that
exactly.
actually matters. We'll get to Wallace in a sec. Bottom half of the eight case, I struggled with Lowry. He was one of my last cuts. I would have liked
Mhm.
to play him, but I liked so much in this range. And then I'm on Hoffman and Keegan. I've faded the rest of these guys.
Yeah, Hoffman and Keegan are two big ones for me. I got 30% of each. And then I got a little sample of Sung J M, just a little bit too cheap. Can't quit that guy either.
Yeah, and Big R Colts fan is talking Billy Horschel as a pivot. I think that is true. He has a decent course history. I think his
He's
ownership
playing well.
is going to be low. Like there's some people with good form and or Sungjae more of a name than form. But there's people around him that'll attract ownership.
I don't think people really like playing Billy Horschel. I don't
He
know.
has he has that he doesn't have like the I'm just a fan of the guy draw either.
Unlike the guy below him, which it might be more popular this week than we've seen in a while.
People are buying into the recent top 10
Maybe.
maybe.
I didn't get there myself, but
Yeah, I'm not there myself. So the thing with Ricky is if you want an edge on Ricky as he gets his form back, then you're gonna have to jump before you see it.
hammer him early.
Yeah. So I'm okay. I'm okay kind of letting him bounce back a bit and then starting to roster him.
Me too. And I'll be happy if he does well. Like
The
I
thing,
like to see
so
a guy play
one of
well.
my plays here actually is a good example of that. So, I mentioned Keegan. I had him as a pick on the show, so I won't go into him so much, a whole lot more. But I'm just gonna lump Woodland in before,
Hmm.
because to me he is someone I tried to jump on with like, okay, I think he's back in form. After he had a good result, I want to say it was at Waste Management.
Amex?
Oh no, yeah, it was Amex. And then I was like, oh, I think he's back a few times in a row. I just got burnt by it. But I'm on him again. I think we are. I think
Me
that we are.
too.
It's been enough results now, and enough good tee to green play that I
Yeah.
think we can buy it. So I have him this week. I think we are. And I am a fan of Gary Woodland, so I hope we are seeing him kind of get his form and his health back.
Yeah, me too. Exact same here. And yeah, I have him 20% this week. Yeah, he's three good results in a row. Approaches there, putters there. I like it.
I'll just rattle off the rest of the. We'll do maybe top half of the 7Ks. Lots of people here. Leishman, Bubba Watson, Jason Day, Griot, Christian Bez, Cam Tringali, Kevin Streelman, and Stu Sink and Max Homa.
So who do I have? I have a little bit of Adam Scott. Got some Bubba Watson, an interesting pivot I like. Emiliano Grillo, of course, one of my picks. Bezeta Nauch and Golly and Sink are my guys, 75 and above. How about you?
Sorry, I was reading the chat. I didn't hear all of that. So I've got Woodland, Griot, Bez, Sink, Streelman. Is that the same?
I know I got Woodland Scott, Bubba, Grillo,
Oh, so
Bez, Tringali,
not the same
Sink.
at all.
No, sorry, who do you have that I didn't have? Leash?
Uh, I don't have leash. I wanted to play leash. I had to try real hard not to or to get him out. I think I have Streelman,
Oh, right. Yeah, I left him out.
but I do not have Scott. Tell me about your Scott play.
I mean, up until the PGA Championship, I think he has a new mindset he's trying to implement. I think he said in a couple interviews where he needs to kind of refocus, have a new strategy. So under 8,000, Adam Scott, I'm willing to give a chance, 15% that he kind of has a lit a fire under himself a little bit. That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, I another guy that I'm a fan of, so I would love to see a bounce back. I find it hard with him because we see him play so little that it's hard to kind
Yeah.
of. I think we will see a tournament where he comes out and does very well before we see any form because he would have been off for the
Yeah.
last 10 days practicing and
Yeah,
yeah.
for sure.
And then another one you said Bubba. Bubba I think is going to be a low owned play.
Yeah, I just like so 3 of the last 4 are top 25s or top 26s or better. I just think he's got decent history here. Um, I just think like it's a guy that's being completely slept on that you never know when he's going to pop. And I'm going to take a little bit
Yeah.
of chance in big GPPs, especially because I can slot him in here and get a lot of the other guys I like that will be popular and still feel like I'm going to have a unique lineup.
Yeah, for sure. And Bubba's kind of just like a stick of dynamite. You never know. It can explode.
Yeah.
Either way, I guess if you put it in the right spot, it can be a very useful thing. But if it's not, it just kills the whole thing. Yeah, I don't mind the Bubba play. If I was making it, I would be doing it in a very small percentage as a pivot with a popular lineup.
I have him at 10%.
Yeah.
So very small.
We
We had a question about.
Sorry.
Let's do the Griot.
I mean, I think we're both high on Griot. We're both high on Bez.
Jason Day, I think baby coming anytime. He also withdrew from
the
Pro-Am.
Yeah, and I'm staying away from Day. I mean, for potentially golf reasons as well as potentially life reasons.
Yeah.
Tringali.
So
that was another one that you have that I don't.
Yeah, so we had a question up here from Griffin Burke. How you like Tringali? I like Tringali. I didn't think I was going to get there when I was building my player pool this morning, really. But he had that really poor blow up at the PGA Championship, which is really only 4 or 5 holes, and then went 2 under after that.
Yeah, the rest of his golf, the other 3 nines were all very good.
Yeah, I think his results have been very good. There's a narrative maybe from the PGA Championship that he can't hang with the best of them. I don't know if that's necessarily true.
I hear he can't win with the best of them.
Yeah,
that's how the narrative gets started.
Can't hang with the best of them. Craig's spreading.
No, I'm not spreading it. I don't have him this week, but I had a hard time getting off him. Part of the reason I don't have him is I think he's going to be popular.
That reminds me of that Simpsons. We keep going back to the Simpsons here, where they're trying to like start a rumor, and they're like, Abraham answer in the phone book, and it's like flips pages, and Zalatoris, and like those are the 2 biggest gossips in town. They're gonna tell everybody.
Classic.
Simpsons.
So Tringali, essentially, I thought he would be a bit of a popular play, just at the price, and because he has, aside from this past week, he has been a fairly. Well, I guess it's been a few weeks. No, that's not. Is that the recent results? I didn't realize he had the 2 miscuts. But he has been a fairly reliable option for quite a while. So
and with stats that I like to see. I mean, kind of all around, really.
Streelman Sink. You're not on Streelman. I made my essentially. Are you thinking ownership is going to be an issue or?
Yeah, I saw that. I saw projections come out, some of the free projections, and he was very highly owned. So that was enough for me, really.
Yeah.
I wasn't really high on him to begin with, and that was enough to kind of go elsewhere.
Well, that was your mistake because you should have been high on him to begin with. No, I like Streelman. I made the case for him on our picks or our sleeper show. I think the form's good course history. We'll see. What do we got? Yeah, Stuart Sink.
Stuart Sink is big R Colts fan. Stuart Sink might be the one that just kind of sinks my entire boat. He's gonna sink it. He's my third guy at 40%.
It still won't be funny.
He's my third guy at 40%. I haven't really cash in on either of his wins. So am I chasing something here? I don't think so, because I think he's actually had pretty good results besides the wins. The wins are nice to see. It just seems like he's kind of checking the boxes of the player profile that I'm kind of creating that I think will do well here. Strong on approach. He does hit it quite a ways, limits mistakes, all that kind of stuff. So I'm way overboard with him. And it scares me because, unlike a guy we'll talk about in a second here, I haven't been playing him all year long. So it's kind of like it's a new uncharted path for me.
Yeah. I think it's a little crazy going full fade on Streelman and having 40% on Sync. It just seems like you're putting a lot of eggs in one basket. I have Sync at 23%, so it's not like I'm off him by any means. I just think that he seems to be making the game as simple as possible and executing. And I think that can be an approach that, when you are having a good week executing, then you get good results. And then when it's not all working out, you're not getting, I don't see him blowing up. I think that if he misses the cut, it'll probably be within a stroke or two. And if he makes the cut, he'll probably just kind of grind his way into the upper half of the people who make the cut, or potentially better. I just don't see.
That's what I'm hoping.
I don't see a lot of. And it's freaking golf, so you never know. Watch him be +8 when I wake up tomorrow morning.
Yeah.
Homa, last one. Neither of us have. The recent form is concerning. I would love to jump back on, definitely Homa fan, so would love to jump back on it, but the recent form is concerning.
So we had a question about Matt Wallace, but let's kind of do this whole area in one group here. I kind of said this was a really hard area for me, Craig. It was 7,400 and below. I only have 4 plays. I had a really hard time kind of picking who I wanted to play here. How many do you have in this area?
So let's chunk this up even smaller. So let's go 74, 73. I have no plays there. So we're talking Matt Wallace, Charles, Kuchar, Kazire, Siwoo Kim, Chris Kirk. A lot of guys that I really like to play a lot.
I just got 10% of Chris Kirk, and it happened late in my builds where I just needed someone in that area. And, I had a lot of Sync, and I have a lot of guy right below him, and I needed to split it up. I didn't want to go over 40% on anyone. So Chris Kirk got a couple of lineups.
Yeah, so Wallace, Rob Hauser saying here, I agree. I think ownership is going to be high because of his finish here last year. So combined with the recent form. So essentially, I think it's good value for the 7,400. I think I would expect him to be highly owned.
Yeah, and the same thing from Stephen Davidson. He asked earlier on thoughts on Wallace. He doesn't really excite me this week. I don't know why.
Do you disagree? Do you not think it's good value, or?
Yeah, I think it's fine value. Yeah, I mean everything seems to be checking out. Ownership.
The one thing I would say, I mean, the approach fell in the last couple weeks from his his higher finishes earlier, but everything else that he does well typically looks fine. So if you think that the ownership is a bit of an aberration and he's going to be fine, then I think that's an easy stance to take. My biggest reason for not playing him is I think his ownership's going to creep up.
So I guess the only thing I can say, if I can somehow put it into words, is like over the past 4 years when he's been a top 50 golfer in the world, I feel like I've had these like times where I've rostered him super confident that he fit the course properly, he's in form, and just out of nowhere, like a miscut, like that, it seems to have no explanation. So maybe it's just kind of personal burns I've had with Wallace, but
it's personal. It's not business.
It is personal.
Brent Harris here. Good info. Been listening during bedtime prep of the boy. Good to be multitasking. Good to be doing some good parenting. Give that like a push. I like it, Brent. I want everyone to listen to Brent.
I like it, Brent.
So rest of the way here. So I have no 74, 73. I do, and a lot of guys I like, Kazire, someone I've been on, Schwartzel, someone I've been on. Kuchar has a great course history, so I think you can make a lot of cases here. But I do have some lower price. I've got 72s, 71s, and 70s is where all of my lower 7K ownership comes in. Do you want to hear it?
Rattle them off.
Just the owners, the ones I have. I have Henley, Brendan Todd, Lucas Glover, Taylor Gooch, and then I listened to you on Carlos Ortiz. Or was he? He didn't make it as one of your sleepers.
No, I bet Cam Davis.
Yeah, okay. But you were talking about Ortiz for a while.
I was. Okay, so Brent just poured a rye. He said, thoughts on Leishman, Todd, Henley. Popping for me due to contrarian, recent form, course fit. We mentioned Leishman a little bit. We're both off him, but first two here, Todd and Henley.
So just real quick on Leishman, because we didn't go into him in depth. I think Leishman is a very high ups. Like when Leishman hits, he hits well. Like he works his way very high in fields. So I think if you're looking for someone as a contrarian play, I think he is always a good option, because except unless it's a place where he has really good course history or something like that, he rarely. I think he's rarely over-owned.
Yep. No, I think that's fair.
But then, yes, a couple of these guys at 72 here.
So Russell Henley is a guy that I just got way overboard on. I have 35% of Russell Henley.
You just got carried away with that.
I got completely carried away. He reminds me a lot of Kevin Kisner last week, right around the same price area. A guy that's playing well early in the season, that's coming off, not his best performance in the last handful of events. Price is down. But when we look at like Russell or Kevin Kisner last week, it seemed to be like the course that, he gets up for, that shorter kind of tree line. He can play well here. You've talked about it a bunch. This is a second shot course. This is an approach course. Russell Henley, top 5 approach guy. I mean, in the PGA in this field
over the last 2 years. If you're talking,
yeah.
I mean, I'd probably say he gives Zalatoris some time. He's going to work his way up there into the top 3 and bump Henley. But sure. Yeah, no, he's my sleeper. I like the pick. He's my highest owned guy under 7,500. So this is where essentially my strategy this week, all the guys I have at 75 or above are at least 20%. Russell Henley's my highest owned below 75. He's at 17. Most of these guys I have at 10 or less. So I just essentially I sort of took a bunch of shots down here and spread out to be very low owned.
Steven, yeah, Henley feast or famine. I completely agree, and that's my shifting mentality in this golf DFS world is try to get guys that are going to get at the top of the leaderboard, and he can get up there.
Matt Jones was brought up. Matt Jones, I think, is a fine play. I'm off Matt Jones right now, but I think it's just I think it's just a bit of I've been playing him so much fatigue, and then he missed the cut right at the very end to break my heart last week. So I have been on Matt Jones almost every week for the past few months. So I think he is a fine play.
Yeah, would like to see the approach stats a little bit better. But I just didn't get there myself.
Yeah, I mean, approach has never been the strength of his game. So it's just a matter of can he do everything well enough to and essentially try to not lose there, like we talk about with a lot of guys in their putting.
So my guys here, I got under Russell Henley. I just have Gim and I just have Cam Davis.
Gim, yeah, and I think Gim's a fine play. Again, popularity. I think he's one of these guys in this price range that always seems to carry ownership, and deservedly so. And so I feel like I want the hype on Gim to die down a little bit so that I can get back on it.
I feel like it has a little bit.
A few missed cuts and stuff. It's not as high as it was back when he was kind of top 25ing at a somewhat regular clip.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's just we overhyped him and we're in the post-hype.
A lot of people watch the players where he
collapsed,
had a chance, right? Yeah, I said it as had a chance. Yeah. You see it as collapse.
We took different approaches on that one.
Are we moving past 7Ks here?
Yeah, unless there's any other questions. So Matt Zeman, I like where your head's at. You mentioned Troy Merritt at 69 here. And you just mentioned Russell Knox at 61. So you're speaking my language. Do you want to get into your 6K plays? Yeah,
I got 4 of them. Wyndham Clark, Benny Ann.
Give me a price. Wyndham Clark 67.
Wyndham Clark is 67. I got Benny Ann at 64. I got Takumi Kanaya at 61. And at 6,100, I have Russell Knox.
So you skipped Kyle Stanley.
I skipped Scott. I skipped Kyle Scanlon. I don't know if I need to go on my rant now, but
No,
this
let me let me
ownership
let
with
me, let
Kyle
me tell
Stanley.
you my place, and then we'll get into your rant. So
Okay.
I've got Troy Merritt at 69, Norin at 68,
Yeah.
Adam Hadwin. I don't know how you're not on this yet. Adam Hadwin at 67, Brendan Steele at 65, and then I have all three of these guys I like at 61. I've got Takumi Kanaya because I just, I always know, I know you get so upset when I don't play your sleepers, so I took a very low committal shot at Takumi Kanaya, and then I've got both Knox and Stanley.
Okay. So Kyle Stanley, it looks like he's going to be between 15 and 25% owned. That's a big range, I know, but he's going to be highly owned. People think it's just like an automatic plug and he'll make a cut and he'll get a top 25 because he has good course history. His last two events, he's been good on approach, but that's it. I mean, it's still Kyle Stanley. It's a guy who can't putt. I mean, they're talking about like here's the thing that's going to frustrate me is because it's a limited field 120 invitational status that it'll be slightly easier to make the cut, and he might kind of squeak in there and good DFS results and still pay off at 6100. But
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
why
think
people are playing him.
at 18-20% it is not a good play. Like there's way too much inconsistency there. If you're building one lineup, don't go this low. Go more balanced. I think that's the right way to go. If you're going in big GBPs, if you want to go this low, go like it blows my mind. I don't know. I could be wrong. I was wrong on Whaley last week, but I just have no interest to play Kyle Stanley at that high ownership.
Yeah, I mean, essentially, the argument you're making against Kyle Stanley is the same argument you can make for any player who is lower priced than they should be, kind of based on stats and everything, and is going
Yeah.
to be have a higher ownership as a result of their pricing.
Yeah.
So I agree with what you're saying. I just think that to me, it's not like there's a hard line where I think that this is not like a clearly a good play or clearly a bad play depending on his ownership percentage. I think it's like so I have 10% on Kyle Stanley, and essentially I put it and I was like, okay, well, they're giving me this discount here. Can I do something interesting with my lineup that I think could potentially put together a winning lineup? And so I totally
Yeah.
get what you're saying. That's also why I played a little bit of Russell Knox and a little bit of Takumi Kanaya, essentially, is because I think that these guys all have potential to return on the like to be value at their price. And
Yeah.
the yes, I'm going to, so at 10%, based on what you're saying, I'm going to be underexposed
Yeah.
on Kyle Stanley. So it's still worse for me if he does well. But if he does well and it happens to be my lineups that are in, then like I'm cool with that. It's just instead of being totally out on it, I have a little bit of skin in the game.
Yeah. I mean, I almost thought about like dropping a top 20 bet and just completely hedging that way. But
Oh, then
ultimately,
he
I'm just
comes
gonna.
22nd and
I know. I couldn't.
um. So Drew, real quick, you didn't comment on my other ones here. Brendan Steele. No thoughts there.
Yeah, sure,
Just seems like a
sure.
grinder at the price.
So all of these guys, none of them are higher than 15% for me. I just felt like I didn't have to go down this low, to be honest.
Yeah, and you're not jumping on Hadwin yet. You don't think the form's turning around?
Yeah, it is. It's really nice to see his approach play. I love to see that. I don't love the course history. I don't know, Greg. Like maybe I'm completely off this week, and I'm stuck on this guys that
We're
can hit
talking
a little bit
about guys at
longer ball striker.
6,700, so we're comparing him to Richie Wierenski, and oh, you've got Wyndham.
He's been
He
playing
has been
well.
playing well.
Same with. I mean, it's yeah. I don't know.
I feel like we just have different ideas of what this course is going to do. I think I think it's going to demand short game and approach play, and essentially more the Corey Connors, Colin Morikawa type of driver of the golf ball. And you seem to be thinking I mean, I'm just assuming by like the Wyndham Clark type play, you think guys that can poke it out there a bit are going to be.
Yeah, poke it out there, hit it high, have it land soft, scramble if they need to. I definitely tried
Oh, so
to
like all
be
of the
head
aspects of golfers, yeah.
all aspects, all aspects. That's why, yeah, every single aspect. We need to be perfect in every aspect of the game.
Like the Swiss bobsled team.
You lose a ball, run a mile. You miss a putt, run a mile.
Left side.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, we're splitting hairs here a little bit. It's golf DFS. The amount of randomness in it is extraordinary. Shoot your
Yeah,
shot. That's
we've
what
got a
I'm
couple
doing.
people saying Duff. I mean, if you're gonna take a shot, this is a good place to do it for sure. He seems to do well here. I think that's a fine shot to take.
Yeah, he's been playing well as of late. I like that definite call.
And Matthew Zeman, Charlie Hoffman. I'm on Charlie Hoffman. I think that the ball striking is exceptional right now. You know, oftentimes if a guy has been putting up good results, but you can't really point to any one thing being that good, then I'm like, oh man, like I think he's just been hot, and I think that's kind of where you're kind of feeling that with Cam Smith.
Yeah.
But I just think Charlie Hoffman is hitting the hell out of the golf ball right now, and has been doing so for a little while. So I'll ride Hoffman until it probably until after it has stopped paying off.
Yeah, I'm on the exact same boat. The one hesitation I have with Hoffman in 12 starts, I think he has one top 10. So clearly not the best track for his eye, maybe, with how long of a professional he's been and successful
Yeah,
professional. But
he's not
I
in
think
Texas
with his
anymore.
form, he's not in Texas anymore. But with his form, he can top 10
And
here.
you know what?
Absolutely.
If he falls off this week, I probably will buy a little bit into the he's not in Texas anymore narrative and be like, okay, well,
Back to California. No,
yeah,
I guess we got another stop before Torrey.
yeah, Congaree. Malnati. I haven't been on Myron Kidd. I don't think either of us are on Lowry. I don't mind him. Adam, you were saying you didn't really like the price.
Well, ultimately, it was so hard for me in the eights here. I almost got there. I just didn't like the price. I felt like the Gary Woodland, Adam Scott, maybe Bubba Watson, maybe he should be closer there. But his recent history recent form is really good. Easy guy to cheer for. I kind of wish I had a little sliver of Lowry.
Me too. So I think I might have said this the first time we came through here, but he's probably the guy I'll be the most choked if he does well, because he was one of my later cuts from the player pool. I also feel like with Lowry, like maybe I'm just overreading into this week, but I feel like this is like Moneyball. Where like you want the Wyndham Clarks that like it looks really good and they hit it a long way and it goes high.
It pops off the bat. It pops
Yeah.
off the bat.
He's got an ugly girlfriend. Oh, what do you know that means no confidence. I want the guy that has, all the reasons you're not supposed to take him, but the numbers work out.
Look how low his batter stance is. He has no strike zone.
Malnati. I didn't look at him
What
this
has he
week.
done since his 10 missed
Yeah,
cuts?
his form has been bad.
But
Do you know where he's
oh
priced?
no, I don't. I feel like you just passed him though. Maybe not.
Maybe I'll just search for him. Okay, we've got him at 63. Yeah, it hasn't been good. Man, I'm a big Malnati fan. I hope that he can get it back. He was playing so well there for a while, but it didn't seem at the time like it was sustainable. And then we kind of figured out that it became unsustainable. But yeah, I'd love to see some form from him. I'm not there from a DFS point of view.
Craig, we got Matthew Zeman asking, did you already predict the winners? I don't know if we've ever done that here. Do you want to do that this week?
Well, like, are we going with our picks? Because Adam
Yeah.
copied my one and done pick this week. He's really not committing to chasing. He wants to just keep pace with the leader in the one and done contest.
Yeah, I had him. I had him locked in for a couple of days now. I'm not going to say a couple of weeks, but I'm going Xander Schauffele, winner. He's in my one and done selection. He is going to win at 13 under over Tony Finau
Well, and the rest of the field.
and the rest of the field. But Tony's going to be there.
So I have Morikawa as my pick to win, and I have Xander as my one and done. So I really thought I was pulling one over on you guys. I thought you were not going to be thinking about Xander. I thought you were going to be saving him for Torrey Pines.
No, I got someone else. I got someone else already locked into that.
Yeah, so I started to come around on Xander in the last couple days. I don't know how long you had been locking this one in, but yeah, no, I like Xander. I like Morikawa a little bit more, but I'm splitting hairs.
So let's say you have Morikawa over Xander late on Sunday.
Yeah.
Or in a playoff.
Yeah, I better make sure I put those guys together in a few lineups.
Yeah, you better.
I have
better.
30% on Colin and 27% on Xander. So.
Looking now. Greg, I think that's pretty much it. We went through the entire field. Sorry, Myron, just seeing your question here, but it's usually easy to catch along with the show because you can see kind of where we're at in the salary. Yeah, showdowns. We're gonna pre-record, get them out Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Anything else, Greg?
Yeah, just on Myron Kid, Matt Fitzpatrick's a stud, I would say is the last thing, and then we can call it there.
Yeah, good luck this week, everybody. Join us in the Discord if you want to chat during the tournament. Otherwise, good luck, and we'll see you again for the Showdown Show.